To Bundaberg, where we're joined by Keith Pitt, Nationals MP, to talk about politics of the day. Keith Pitt, thank you so much for joining us. One of the big discussions, as we saw with that clip from Barnaby Joyce before. Thank you, Keith. One of the issues that we have seen has been really firing up MPs in the last fortnight has been about drought in the regions. Barnaby Joyce there, adamant that he had filed a number of reports as drought envoy. Do you think that there should have been more of a paper trail about what he was doing, considering he did have a number of staff paid for as drought envoy?
Can I say the people I'm talking to are not interested in paper trails or reports, that they want action. What we've seen in Queensland just yesterday, in my view, is one of the most disgraceful decisions I've seen from a state government ever. In the midst of a very serious drought, my region's drought declared as well now, the Paradise Dam near Bundaberg, which is the most recently built dam, some 300,000 megalitres of storage capacity, the state Labor government now intends to drop that dam level by 5 metres, a permanent removal of 85,000 megalitres of capacity. And they're sending 100,000 megalitres of water down the river to be able to do it. I just can't understand these sorts of decisions. Now, they say on occasions that it's a safety issue. I've never seen anything like that in the minister's press release. He's talking about how great it is that they're making all this water readily available. Well, the reality is it's going to flow out into the ocean with no use whatsoever. Very few people will be able to access that water. And in terms of building dams, we want to build more dams. The states, obviously, in Queensland want less storage capacity. And I think people are just tired of those types of arguments. We just have to get on and do what is necessary.
We've had discussion about whether more dams would be necessarily beneficial. It was the Environment Minister in Victoria was saying there's no point building more dams if there's not going to be any water to go into them. Do you think that that's quite evocative language?
I just think that's a ridiculous statement. To say that they don't think it's going to rain, that means that Victoria's population won't change, there won't be more industry, there won't be more agriculture. I just can't find any reason to think that's a sensible decision. We need to ensure that water infrastructure of the future is here. We know that our population is growing and grown relatively rapidly in recent years. We've got to ensure that the planning is done, but that we also actually do the work. It's no point having a whole stack of feasibility reports in a drawer if you haven't actually built any of the infrastructure.
Now, in Queensland, a decision that would affect part of your electorate, I'm guessing, the Queensland government's decided to remove 160 different shark baits from the ocean. What do you make of that decision? We've heard Susan Leave really firing up over it this morning.
Well, once again, the state Labor government just shows what their priority is. It's not the people of Queensland, it's not our tourism industry, it's not protecting beachgoers. I mean, they tried to do this a few months ago, and now they've found a reason to take those shark lines and drum lines out of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park simply because they don't want to comply with the orders of the court. So I just find this nonsensical. It's a system which has worked for more than 50 years. Our people deserve protection far more than the fish of the ocean. We have a balanced view in terms of fish take for every other species. And the reports I have is that sharks are in plague proportions, particularly around the reef, due to some decisions of previous governments up to 10 years ago.
Is it a concern, though, that it might be impacting endangered species?
Well, my concern is for the people that go to the beach. I will always put a 2-year-old child before the life of a fish. I just think that's a practical, common sense view. And the reports I get from fishermen is that there are so many sharks out there now, a lot of them have given up line fishing. They can't get their fish in the boat for their commercial catch. I don't see how that's in the interest of the environment. If every time we have someone out trying to make a living, they're losing their livelihood to sharks because there's so many of the damn things. I just find this nonsense. The state government continues to act simply with an ideological view. And I really, really don't want to see a life lost or someone else injured due to that decision.
And Keith Pitt, just finally, we've seen the likeliest sign that there will be a rate cut on Tuesday. Do you think that's a symptom of an economy that's failing?
Well, I saw some of the speech from the RBA governor where he said that he believes that the economy's reached a gentle turning point. We've had 28 years of growth. We have the opposition in the Labor Party continuing to talk down the economy. I absolutely will not be doing that. I have every confidence in Australian businesses, in Australian households, and I think they'll continue to push forward, invest where they need to. And as people who are standing in front of a camera, Annalise, our job is to talk up the Australian economy and the work that our Australian businesses have done and continue to do. So I think there are some positives in the future. Obviously, the RBA will make their decisions independently. We do have record low rates now. But in my view, we have a whole stack of money coming to the economy due to the decisions we took on reducing taxation, particularly for low-income earners. I look forward to seeing the results.
There is a concern that household consumption is down. We've had a number of economists in the last week say that those tax cuts aren't necessarily cutting through. Do you think that the government should be doing more to get infrastructure spending going in the states?
We have $100 billion committed to infrastructure, but household spending is a reflection of confidence. This is why we should be talking up our economy, talking up our businesses, talking up the things not only that we are doing as a government, but every individual business is investing in right around the country. This is why we should be building dams. This is why we should be building roads and ports and other infrastructure, because it does help to build confidence, particularly in households. And obviously, right now, mum and dad, they are worried about being able to pay their power bills in particular. So we need to be able to change how that cost of living approach is made. We need to reduce the cost of living at every single opportunity. We need to ensure we provide jobs right across the region, not just in some locations.